And welcome to a Tuesday night edition of East County Sports Live. I'm Ramon Scott, joined by my partner at EastCountySports.com, Dave Dickens. Dave, we brought on the show this week a couple of guys playing their most important football games of the season. In the upper right, senior Logan SCHMIDT of the defending Grossmont Valley League champion Monte Vista Monarchs. And in the lower right, senior JERICHO BRENNAN, running back, do-it-all man for the Mountain Empire RedHawks, and they're getting ready for their big game this week at rival Holtville, Dave.
I wanted to also add, and they are also the defending league champions as well.
Indeed, of the Manzanita League.
So we will start since we're saying that. First of all, congratulations, gentlemen, for both being on two of some programs that they started at a younger age for both of you, and now you guys got yourselves a league championship each, and now it's kind of been back to the drawing board. I know it's been a little rocky for both of you actually this season, but it's still salvageable. I'm going to start with JERICHO, especially the H word, and that's what I've always heard from everybody I've talked to from Mountain Empire for the last couple of years. Is the rival of all rivals? Is that not true? Do you know the whole history behind it, or can you give us a tidbit of why that's such a big deal?
I just know that it goes back to as long as anybody I've been able to talk to can remember, of just, a good old-fashioned rivalry between two, small-town teams.
And we were talking backstage earlier about the changes that you made, and that in the off season, you and Khalil were both competing for the quarterback spot. You ended up carrying the load for the most part as the I wouldn't say the lone back, but you're getting a majority of the carries. And I remember our conversation. You were really excited about being able to have that opportunity, since that wasn't your typical role in the past as far as football goes, or high school football goes in particular. Is that not correct? You were pretty excited about that you were going to be carrying the load, most of the load for the most part.
Yeah. It was an exciting opportunity for me to help the team out.
And what did you think about how Khalil? I mean, he was in a different spot as well, and how he adapted to his position.
I thought he did great. He's really smart. He's a stud. He performs well in practice, and it shows it in the game. He's a natural born athlete, and he shows on Friday night.
That's for sure, and I know Ramon's got some of the key stats on that. I just know of one game in particular. I know that he had almost 100 yards using his legs, and he had a couple of 100 yards throwing too. And that was just a couple of games. That might have been the Army Navy Academy, if I'm not mistaken, Ramon.
Well, yeah, when they beat Army Navy 31-0 in this past week, that's what I wanted to maybe know, JERICHO, about this team right now. We had the 41-0 win over O'Farrell Charter last week, and you had 117 yards on 7 carries, and had a nice game with total offense. But this past week, we revamped everything and went specifically to the run. In the past, right now, during the RedHawks resurgence, before this year, maybe, if you will, and even this year, we've relied a lot on the pass. But last week against O'Farrell, the team I think we knew we were stronger against, went to predominantly a running game. And I'm wondering what went into that strategy, and with the success that you had, will that be the strategy this week against Holtville? Or are we going to kind of go back to some passing a little bit?
So in the last year, we had a senior quarterback, and so and there's also a senior running back, but we had a senior quarterback and a lot of senior receivers and playmakers on the outside. So I guess Coach Van felt it would be more effective to put the ball in their hands to the air, and so that's usually where we turn, like in the last year and the years before that. But this year we're more of a balanced team, and we thought that we would be able to be more sufficient against O'Farrell on the ground, and so that's what we went into the week thinking and trying to execute. And good thanks to all the players and everyone on the team working hard, we were able to do that on Friday night. So we're going to look and see what H team is able to, what we think we can do best against them, and hopefully execute on Friday night the best game plan.
No, now Jericho O'Farrell is talking to some of our fellow media conglomerates in the county. They have talked about O'Farrell as more of not a bad team, but an up and coming young team. So it's not for lack of talent. It's just they're so young. But many have said they have a couple of stars on the team and some real spectacular athletes. You were there? Can you speak on their behalf? Did you see some athletes out there that team will improve as time moves on?
Oh, absolutely. Their quarterback was very athletic, and some of their other receiver players, like number 4, he was really good too. They definitely have a lot of potential and a lot of athletes on their team that can, be playmakers. I know this is like their second year playing football as a school, and I'm sure that comes with all of its challenges and everything. And so I think once they get a couple seasons under their belt and some experience, they'll definitely be an up and coming team and do some good things, for sure.
And speaking of that, do you think, or do you know? I mean, I'm not expecting you to know the answer to this question. These aren't typically something that the players are aware of, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there anyhow. Do you know if Coach Van has signed on O'Farrell Charter as maybe one of those non-league games that he wants to have on the schedule, maybe for a couple of years?
I'm not too sure exactly on what Coach Van his plan is for the scheduling in the future, but if it is, I definitely think that it would be a game that would be looked at every year as a game that would be circled and ready for each year. I definitely think that would be a possibility with them as an up and coming team, kind of how we have been in the past couple of years. So I think that they can that might be a possibility. Yeah.
That's the reason I mentioned it too, Jericho. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but just my thought is you're both young teams. You're kind of building from scratch. Why not play each other, grow together, and those could end up being some of the more competitive games. So to me, it just sounds like I don't want to say a no-brainer, but I just think that it would be a great non-league game to throw in there every year. And everybody gets better, everybody learns something new, and we can go out and watch just a good old fashioned, maybe turn it into a new rivalry. Who knows? I mean, that's pretty tough.
Yeah, that definitely.
Word.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that definitely. I wouldn't be surprised. That seems like something Coach Van would do, and I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if he went that direction.
Well, I think, Dave, one thing about playing Calipatria, and I appreciate Jericho's comments saying that they can get better. I mean, they can only get better. They're the lowest rated team in the county, but I'm not belittling Mountain Empire for scheduling them, because Mountain Empire has actually scheduled very, very difficult on some of their games this year. I mean, Jericho, you guys played good teams. I mean, at Hilltop, at Coronado, and you guys, we know you got to make that bus trip. So they also hosted Mission Bay. They played Santana, Dave. They're out there in Division 5. Played that Castle Park team that's having such a great season, undefeated. So I don't know. I think there's a method to the strategy for Coach Van. I think maybe they just ended up, maybe with that situation with O'Farrell. It's all paid off for them, Dave. Jericho, I don't know. You guys, Dave's portraying it as a rebuilding project. I imagine that you guys are pretty upset sitting there with 2 victories, but you knew that those were tough games. Hey, win this Holtville game. We're already look like we're heading to the playoffs as long as we beat Calipatria next week. Oh, if we win this game, we're in for sure. I'll tell you that. But I know winning this week would bring a tremendous satisfaction to you guys. I don't know. I think there's a wild card to it all, Dave. They're favored to beat you guys, Jericho, but this is still H word, as you guys called
it. Yes, sir. Hopefully we can go and put together, the plan that we, work on all week and execute and, get a win. But they're a good team. I know they have one of the leading rushers in the county, and hopefully we can, do what we need to do to hold them to not such a good day. But they're a good team all around, and I'm sure that they have a lot of weapons. So we just got to do what our game plan is, and hopefully get out there with a victory to get into the playoffs, and go farther than we did last year.
Well, how about this? I know one player I can call out, and you can definitely speak highly of this gentleman, and he's definitely a household name out there in your parts, and that's Marcus Smith.
Jericho, you with
Isn't he
us
one
still?
of the Marcus Smith?
He was asking about Marcus.
Oh, yeah.
He talked about Marcus Smith and his season.
Oh yeah, man, he's a really good kid. He's doing really well. He works hard in practice, and man, does he show it on Friday nights, man. Him and Khalil, they've worked a lot in the off season, and they have a pretty good connection and repertoire with each other.
And do you have a couple of names you could throw out there? I spoke to some of them, but it's been quite a few games and a couple of months since I spoke to them when camp started. But how about some of your key linemen that are blocking for you and creating those teams for you? You got some names you could throw out there and give some kudos to them for
shout out time, Jericho.
Man, those guys, man, Dylan, from left to right, you got Dylan McMillan, you got Abraham, you have Larry, then you have Chaz, and Ephraim, and man, they put in so much work, day to day. They probably work harder than every other, position that we have on the team, and they get after it every single day. And boy, does it help me on Friday nights, just being able to not worry about that, who's blocking for me or anything like that. I have complete trust in them, and man, they make my job real easy on Friday nights for sure.
Dave, let me fill in the blanks here because that's what I do. I know that Jericho's got his guys, but we want to make sure we give them full credit. And that's the Penuelas brothers,
Mm-hmm.
Abraham, right, and Ephraim. And also you mentioned,
Larry Clark.
And Larry Clark, right? Yep.
Yeah.
I think, did I get all the last names in there? Who else did you say, Jerry?
I said Chaz Enos.
Okay, yes, Chaz. And he's a young guy. He's just a sophomore. So good job, Dave. I think we better get started on a man who, sitting there so quietly and patiently. And Logan is certainly one of the best defensive players in the East County. But you know what? I always try to pump somebody up. And Logan's got a lot of talents. We could probably say he's maybe one of the smartest football players in the county. I think that's a given. Maybe the smartest football player in the county, Dave. He's valedictorian at Monte Vista. But you know what I'm going to give him credit for? We got other players. I saw Jaheim was already in the chat. And, of course, we go, well, Jaheim is the player with the most yardage in the county, right? He's the most underrated receiver. Well, Dave, you know what I'm going to give the title for Logan? And you can start. But I'm going to give Logan this title. He's the best interview in the county.
I would say for sure. And I that wasn't the exact adjective I used. I did use probably one of the more eloquent speakers when it comes to interviews, and I can throw a couple of open-ended questions, 2 or 3 of them, and I can probably go make a meal and let you continue on. And really, that you got a big, I think you got a large football career ahead of you. So all of this experience and as many times you've talked to us, I think this is only going to help you in the future. Who knows? We might even end up close to Blake at Montana State. I don't know. maybe somewhere close by. And I'm gonna hit you up right now if you can. If you cannot, that's okay. But how many of the letters have been coming in, and has there been any visits? Tell us about that if you can.
Yeah, well, totally. Well, I took a unofficial visit, I guess, to Montana State, back in the summer, and unfortunately, I suppose, I'm kind of on the smaller end. I guess, 6 foot, 210 pounds. For a linebacker, it's, I guess, looking for the 6'4" range or whatever. I saw this funny meme where it said, recruiter says to the recruitee, "Oh, you're 6 foot, or we're looking for a 6'1" guy." So there's like little things like that. I haven't gotten any offers yet, is basically what I'm saying.
Thanks, Ruben.
And
Yeah.
just I could either be butthurt about it, or just play the game, have fun. I talked to Coach Culver one day about it, and he basically just said straight up with me, my size, he doesn't think anything's gonna come in, so I just might as well have fun on the football field as long as I can. And so that's what every Friday night's been about for me. Just want to have fun with my buddies and want to go out there and do whatever I can. But after the season, whatever.
With that being said, and by the way, your quarterback Ruben Silva is saying that Schmidt's the man right there on the chat right now. So he's giving you props right here right now. But maybe, are you thinking the possibility of Grossmont College, Mesa College, Southwestern? You can always play. Those are fine community colleges. I know you've checked out some of the facilities at one point. There's been a lot of CIF games even at Southwestern. So there's some pretty good schools that are local that would love to have somebody of your size, of your quickness, of your knowledge of the football.
Yeah, I dig that. I definitely had these conversations with myself. It's just that I suppose with my smarts, you could say, some people on the football team don't think I'm very common sense smart. I disagree with them. Just like, there's I have my certain moments where I'm not the brightest guy, but I am. I have the grades and I have the scores where I could go anywhere. And I just think to myself, would I be cheating myself if I go to a JUCO? If I can go to a Harvard or go to a Princeton or whatever and go make six figures and go out and have a good life. I ask myself, football means that much to me, and it's a fun game, and I suppose it should. But I gotta take my future into account, and if something does happen in the off season or after the season, but I guess who really knows? The future is scary. That's what they say, and I'm scared of it. Shit.
Well, that's why you enjoy the rest of your. You got still plenty of your senior year left, and I just wanted to touch on that for a moment. Get back into Monte Vista as a whole. You guys are 3-4 overall. You're still got a chance. Yeah, everybody, and personally, I think everybody has a chance in the Grossmont Valley right now. There is nobody that is out at this point. But you're on the winning end. You're 1-0. It may only be 1-0 to some people, but I'm sure you, being the football connoisseur, if you will, I'm sure that you understand that being 1-0 is that much closer to that league title. So with that being said, you got Santana coming ahead, but they are playing at your house. That's a benefit right there. Some people, they're 8-0, they're 2-0 in the Grossmont Valley League. Their defense, I was looking up some surprising numbers. Their defense has only allowed 66 points all season, and they've scored 328. So kind of lopsided in the correct direction. But at the same time, Monte Vista's number 15 in D2 rankings right now. And we all know that. I mean, you're going to be gone, but Monte Vista has proven to be one of the elite teams, so they will be moving up to a D1. So that's a possibility that I've heard about anyhow. But for you guys to be a D2 team, and with the size of your team, and with the amount of players that you have, number 15, is that so bad? I don't think so. 3-4, 1-0 in your league right now. What do you have to say?
Well, 3-4, it's kind of a bummer, especially I read on one of your articles, we're 4 points away from being 5-2, which think about that, just really frustrates me. But 1-0, the goal throughout the season, in the off season, has always been to win league, because through that, if you win league, automatic entry into the playoffs, automatic home game. So we can go 0-6, but as long as we win these 4 games, then that's okay by us. So we should focus on 1 week at a time, I suppose, like everyone does. 1-0, the old saying. And Santana's a good team. You have to be if you're 8-0. So props to them. And, personally, I'm 2-1 against them. And without Jamal McClendon, who knows? I might be 0-3, because they play defense against us hard every single year. Last year they played defense against us really well. But somehow with Jamon, we scored 35 points. That dude was a freak. So I should expect the exact same. It's not a busting game that they give us every single year. They play us hard and dirty every year. It's not going to be any different this year. And we beat Mount Miguel, which was huge. The whole team was excited about that. And we've set ourselves up to have a chance to take the whole thing. And this is going to be a giant challenge. Coach Culver, he has a speech he gives every year, and what he thinks is the most important league game. He talks about the brass ring going around the carousel. He says if you on the old carousels, if you grab the brass ring, you get another free ride. So he says that we're right there. We can almost touch the brass ring. It's our job to take it. We have to want to take that brass ring and get another free ride, which would be the playoffs. And so, he's got us all hyped up for it. We know that it's the biggest game of the year. We win this game, then we have a shot to win league. And then what happens in the playoffs, who knows? Last year we got upset by Santa Fe Christian, which we shouldn't have. So anything can happen in the playoffs. But we got to just win this game.
And you were talking about, I think you were referring to, you were talking about a couple of games where 4-2. I'm sure you'd like to have the Patrick Henry game back, 39-36. I mean, a field goal away from which those Patrick Henry games have really been thorn in the Monarchs' side. I mean, it's gone back and forth, and it's always been those last-minute calls, maybe a bad a penalty, or just that not having enough time to come back and kick that field goal. I mean, Patrick Henry's been a real battle. And then you also had Imperial. I mean, that one really probably scratched you the wrong way. I mean, that was a 1-point game, and you guys had it in your grasp. I'm sure that one. I'm sure you learned quite a bit from those 2 games, and I think those 2 games will help you get through these league games, and possibly even, who knows, upset the Sultans. Anything's possible.
Yeah, definitely. That's the whole point of the preseason games, is to prepare us for the league. That was always what Coach Hamp says, and I totally believe it. Just gotta make the right schedule, and these losses are sometimes better than win when the losses don't matter as much. So just learn what we can, and hopefully we can upset the Sultans, like you said.
Dave, I think it's clear to me after hearing what Logan has to say about his situation. I mean, I don't know if I think I could bring it full circle. I mean, Logan's a perfect candidate to play at a 4-year school at a smaller level. I think if something could work out there, I don't know if he wants to, try to walk on, try to hang out with his brother and Sebastian in Montana and try to progress there and try to maybe get some type of situation going with the Bobcats. I think that'd be neat. He'll be close to his friends and family, but no matter what the case, Logan, if I read it correctly, brother, this is it. This is the week. I mean, this is the week for you, I'm afraid, right now. This is the league championship game for all intent and purposes. For you guys, I mean, Santana, they're going for their share. They get the win, got their first, at least a share of the league championship, first time in 20 years. You guys are defending champs. I've said it on my shows leading up to this point. You guys are the champs until further notice. So you just told us that football may not be in your future. You have a high acumen, high capacity academically that you might want to just continue on at an elite institution just as a student. I can respect that. So as a football player, Logan, this is it, man. Friday night. This is the game. There's really nothing beyond this point. I mean, yes, we lose this game, we regroup, we still can recover, get some wins, somehow get in there. But, man, you got to think right now, we're bothering you, brother. Quarter till 10 on a Tuesday night. You got this game on Friday night. Tell me your emotions, really.
No pressure.
Definitely excited. I'm definitely pumped up. You know, everyone's enthusiastic at practice. You know, we're at a high level. Coaches are fired up. You know, we got homecoming. We got senior night. They're going to bring a huge crowd. We're going to have a huge crowd. You know, Coach Hamp had a figure like 8,000 people. I don't know if that's accurate. But, you know, there's going to be a lot of people there. And homecoming's going to suck if we lose, right? But if we win, then it's going to be amazing. And, you know, Coach Culver gives a quote every week. I just like in regards to the week in the game, he said this one was from Terry Bradshaw. It says, "When you have something to prove, there's nothing greater than a challenge." And I really like that because we have to prove ourselves all over again. You know, we were way up here. You know, we were predicted to win the league at the beginning of the year, and we got knocked way down, 1-4. You know, we thought we were all that, but it turns out we weren't. And so we have something to prove, you know, to ourselves and everyone else. You know, we have to climb back up and, you know, hopefully get that 6-4 record, win league, go CIF, all that, you know. So, you know, but you're right. I'm thinking this is pretty much this is the most important game of the season. You know, win this one, then who knows?
Jericho, you feeling? I wanted to say, Jericho, you feeling what Logan's saying? I mean, you got to just identify perfectly with that right now going into this week, man. Like it's a one-game season all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. Yeah, I got to put everything into this one game and, you know, put all the marbles down here.
I like that, Dave. What are you gonna say?
I was real quick. I was gonna go back to Logan on and just say, you know, it's not only Logan, but it's for all the marbles for Sebastian Valdez. He, you know, this is it for him. I'm sure he's gonna, you know, I'm sure he'd be more than happy, but be very kind about it once he picks him back up. But I'm sure he would like to collect a couple of sacks over Mr. Temple, I'm sure, who's been fantastic throughout the season. I'm sure he'd like to grab a couple more sacks. Also, I'm sure Isaiah Gardner would love to have a breakout game, especially against Santana. One of the tougher defenses, but you never know. He could find those seams and just a couple of key blocks. I mean, he's got the speed. And let's also not forget, I think we're forgetting sometimes about Ruben Silva and the things he does on both sides of the ball. Whether he's throwing the ball, whether he's handing the ball off, or even as a defensive back, he's just all over the place. I mean, that guy's on the field just about every play. What do you think? What do you think about Logan?
Yeah. Well, you know, we have like 25 seniors on the team, so this is it for all of them, I suppose. You know.
Yeah. Well, tell me this, Logan. In the game last year against Santana, I mean, it was a memorable one because I think we're all remembered where we were. At least I'll remember where I was that night. 30 years I've been doing this. I'll remember that night. Where was I when those games got canceled? Well, I was right there with you, 35-0 at halftime against Santana. So let's forget about Jamon for a moment. I mean, I know what he's meant to the team and what he meant for you guys last season, but you guys shut him out in the first half. I mean, look at their offense. Look at the personnel they have. Everybody out there on the field this Friday night was pretty much on the field last year in that game. Now, Santana, certainly. You probably watched them now. They've gotten even better. They were pretty good last year. Even after that game where you guys shut them out, they went on to put up some big numbers and looked really good on offense. So what was the deal last year? Now we can talk about their injuries to quarterback that they had last year, but certainly you guys know how to prepare for this team.
Yeah, well, we played them 4 times in the last 3 years. 2 when I was a freshman, and then 2 years ago, and then last year 35-0, like you mentioned.
And a half.
Yeah, and and a half, which was crazy. But we came out excited, I suppose. It's just Coach Ham said, the team from last year just wasn't very excited to play football games. So we just wanted to be more enthusiastic, and we wanted to play at our best level that we possibly could instead of always playing down to teams. We wanted to play at our level. That's what Coach Ham said, and so we were really excited last year, and we shut them out, and they went to the semifinals. So we clearly, I think we had a semi-decent game against a pretty good team. We went to the semifinals. So, that team is, except for Nathan Temple, who I know he was out last year. Good for us, I suppose, last year. But he's back this year, and he's pretty good. He's athletic. He has a deep arm. He puts the ball in the money. He's got some decent receivers to go along with it. And like you said, that defense is top notch. So it's going to be a tough team. I wouldn't expect anything less from him.
Kind of a
so you're going to be
What?
you're going to be called on upon then, Logan, to definitely put some pressure, and you're going to be one of the key guys they're going to be asking. All 6 foot, 220 pounds of you is going to need to protrude through that offensive line and get in there and get a hand, if not on Temple himself, at least get that ball, and maybe a pick 6 could win the game. How's that sound?
Who knows? Anything can happen, I suppose.
Well, I'm sure the Monte Vista secondary is up to the challenge. Sometimes when they've gone up against some passing teams over the last couple of years, they've come out smelling pretty good in the end because, secondary's always been kind of a strong point of the Monarchs. Even with you guys, clogging up the middle of the field, they've often done a pretty good job. Logan, anybody on the football team on the homecoming court?
Yeah, we have Jared Reinhold. He's going to be our center. 52. No. 51. No. Yeah, 52. All 5'8", 160 pounds of him, our starting center. If you can imagine that.
You got a chance? Is that it? Has he got a chance to be the king?
What's that?
Is that it for our football players on the homecoming court? Does he have a chance to be the homecoming king?
Yeah. Well, we didn't want him to step on his toes at all. I think a few of us came in for prom king, but we said we let this one be his. And so but he only has one guy as competition. So who knows? 50-50, whatever.
Oh, okay. Dave, I don't know if Coach Ham, he said 8,000. I'm going to round that down a little bit by about 5,000 or 6,000, but still, I don't know how it's going to work out over there at Monte Vista. With the construction going on and expecting a big crowd. And Logan, I know that the student bodies kind of planned a special day this week for the gentleman from up north that passed away on that construction site. Everyone's going to wear the color green on a particular day. What day is that? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I think that's next Tuesday. I think is what I heard. Green was his favorite color, but we're gonna do a little fundraiser. Just sell some food, sell some drinks, raise some money for whatever. I'm not really sure. I'm not really involved in that aspect.
Sure. Maybe for family or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. But did that cast any kind of pall over the game? Was there a moment of silence that you were home last week, right? For that Matador game, right? Was there anything before the game, a moment of silence before the Matador game or anything? Do you recall?
No, there was not. I mean, I don't want to sound like.
No. I was just curious. But
we didn't. There was nothing like that.
No, well, like I said, Dave, the student body is going to do something this week to honor the gentleman, Jose Ramirez, I believe was his name. I don't want to get it wrong, but tell me about that game, Logan, last week. Kind of an interesting game, but 55 points. And I think that if it says anything, I mean, they still got their offense a little bit on you guys, but I think you guys felt like you guys got control, and I think you guys won it in the trenches, in the middle of the field, wearing them down and kind of just shoving them out of the way, pretty much is what it seemed like against the Matador.
It was
Yeah.
We totally. They had like 6 people going both ways. They don't have near the numbers, which is working our advantage. Wear them down the third and fourth quarter. The third quarter we both scored 21 points, and in the fourth quarter we scored 21. They scored 7, which was kind of a miracle, honestly, because they threw a couple of passes that should have been caught, but then just bounced right up and right into our DB's hands, which is crazy. I almost celebrated with the ref until I realized that was illegal, and then I didn't do that. I try to have fun in the field, whatever. I like to joke around with the zebras. But it was real close. 12-6 going into halftime, and then just offensive fireworks. We started booming back and forth. It was 34-33 at one point. They were up, and then all of a sudden we those 2 interceptions. And, thankfully, we sealed it, and we were able to put up 55 points, and we just took care of business in the fourth quarter, which felt really nice. City championship 4 years in a row. Super cool.
Jericho, same thing. We referred to it earlier that it is for the whole ball of wax as far as this season is concerned. For all intents and purposes, 2 weeks from now, you still get into the playoffs. I'm sure beating Holtville is a lot more important than waiting 2 weeks to be Calvateria. I just think that Holtville, just the whole thing with how many of the fans he got out there. I know that they travel well, you travel well, and it's usually from what I understand, a friendly rivalry, but it can get pretty loud, and people are real serious out there about that game in particular. Got a lot of youngsters out there, but hey, you still got a chance. You've been doing some great running back there. You've been getting it in chunks. I'm sure you have all the faith in the world in Khalil, the way he's been stinging the ball. Mark Smith being one of his favorite receivers. And we haven't mentioned the whole time. What about your defense?
Well, we have a lot of young guys on defense, and we have some guys still trying to get comfortable in the system and understanding what their roles are and what their assignments are. But we're confident in Coach Prince's system and scheme, and we believe that if we do what we're coached to do and what we believe in, that we should be able to get our job done when we're called on.
Well, Ramon, look at 4 years ago, Coach Van did the same exact thing. Started from scratch. Some of them were even freshmen. Took them 4 years, and then he got a league championship. Maybe a little deja vu going on here. Maybe.
Well, I just know it means a lot right now for those seniors. You talked about like I said, they just got to beat Calipatria. I think Mountain Empire. They're expected to win that game against Calipatria. So looks like they're going to be in the playoffs. Interestingly, Dave, the new rankings. The new CIF Power Ratings came out today, so I think you'll find this interesting. That in Division 5, Mountain Empire was 8th, and El Cajon Valley was 7th. So, what that could mean right there. 7th and 8th wouldn't play each other. 8 and 9 plays each other in that first round, but these two teams are going to bounce around a little bit. They're kind of in the same spot. They could end up playing each other somewhere along the line in an early round game, possibly. So I think that's interesting there. But go ahead, Dave.
I think that would be a beautiful thing. I think that Mountain Empire and El Cajon Valley are similar. And I don't know if you've ever had a chance to take a look at any of their film or if you've ever seen any of their highlights, Jericho. But same thing with the numbers thing and being short on numbers on varsity. I think some of the same style offense a lot of times too that I see. I think that you guys would play. It would be a great game, and not to mention you both being from East County, we definitely love to have something like that come into play. Is it going to? Hard to say at this point, but it definitely would be. I think it would be good for both of you.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we played them in 7-on-7, and they look quite good, and it'd be a wonderful team to play, and hopefully good win, but they're a good team from the city, and it would be another challenge that we'd have to face that we've already faced this year. So I think it'd be a good matchup.
Yeah, not only they might have played them in 7-on-7, Dave, but a couple of teams that Mountain Empire has already faced have already played the Braves as well. So they're in the mix with those teams. So Jericho, how upset were you guys with this kind of start? You guys knew that those teams were good, so now you're back in league, and 2-1 is going to win this league, I think. I don't know if anyone,
right? Yeah.
If Holtville does it and gets that sweep, they'll be the champs. But I mean, any team that comes up and gets that upset, they're going to share it, and that's what makes this game this week kind of like what Logan was saying. I mean, this has to be the game of the year right now, as if it wasn't every year.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't the start that we wanted, but we knew we had some really tough games in the beginning, and that they were all going to be, challenges because Coach Van likes to schedule games that'll push us and, make us better to, play teams that might be, better than us when it comes to just, like athletes and just everything like that to, push ourselves. But coming into league, as far as we're concerned, it's 0-0, and that this is really the start to our season and where everything starts to count. And it's a great way to open up league with playing, H team and make having a challenge right out the gate.
Dave, you got anything more for the gentlemen? I just want to wrap it up with Logan as well and preview this game on Friday night. Like I said, I think get there early given the logistics that are going on right now with the construction at Monte Vista High School. I don't know if everyone's going to fit in those upper lots.
Yeah, you guys might have to get a couple of moving trucks and move in a couple more sets of bleachers for your side alone, because you might even get some of the natives that have been staying home are probably going to want to come out for that one.
Yeah.
Well, Logan, I mean, I think the big thing, Dave, it's right there on the screen. Look at the Grossmont Valley League standings. Monte Vista knows they're 1-0. This is it. It all starts on Friday night. So great job, Dave, and great job to our guests. I want to thank them both for coming on. Senior Jericho Brennan of the Mountain Empire RedHawks playing hated rival H-Town, Holtville this Friday night. And Logan SCHMIDT of the Monte Vista Monarchs, the defending Grossmont Valley League champions, and they are in the championship game right now. I mean, things could change. There could be a new championship game after this week. Could involve the Monte Vista Monarchs down the line when they go for their clinching win, but this is the one they need if they want to have any hope of knocking off the favorite, Dave, the Santana Sultans. All right.
No, I'll tell you what. I think it's very possible. Anything's possible in football, especially high school football. Um, I think that you both have a chance at winning that game, or winning your games, I should say. It just the age-old saying that I've been hearing lately, especially, is whoever is more hungry is who's going to get the win, and that's going to be the key for both of you. I wanted to also let you guys both know whether I bring them by personally or I mail them. I also have a couple of see if I can center these right. You guys were the players of the week, and they are sponsored by East County Sports and also Retro Sports, also designed by my son Sebastian. But we got some Letterman patches for you too that we will make sure that we get out to you as well for your outstanding play this week as we win as outstanding players of the week.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Great job, Dave. Thank you, Jericho, Brennan. Thank you, Logan Schmidt. You guys out there on Friday night. Thank you, Dave. And I'm Ramon Scott. Thank you for joining.